Welcome back to Cheap Tool Reviews. My name is Samuel, and sitting in front of me is the toolbox that I did a tour of in my last video. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and check that out. You can find it on my channel. But today I'm doing something a little bit different. I figured some of you might want to see some of the tools that I showed in the previous video in action. So I am going to do a somewhat of a tutorial of how I change my bike inner tube with very limited tools. So let's head outside and get started. First off, I'll just say that this bike is a Sakaya Sasquatch mountain bike from the 1970s. And if you like this content, go ahead and give this video a like. And if you like content about tools and videos like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Here I'm just picking the size for the bolts, the socket size, and for my bike it was a 15 millimeter. It might be different for yours though. So let's get into it. The first thing that you want to do, obviously, is take off that wheel. And so we're going to do that real quick here. The best way to take those nuts off is to simply push straight down on the ratchet rather than doing the pushing and pulling that I was doing just there. And you want to just loosen them both just a little bit. Don't take them all the way off, because you want to put them in about the same spot as far as tightening them. You want to put them in the same spot as they were before. And now here I'm just taking the chain off of the gears on the other side of that wheel. And yeah, so you're just going to want to take that chain off real quick. Don't get hit by the pedals like I almost did. And then what's nice about with the tire being flat like this is that you can get it out of those brake shoes pretty easily without much trouble. And then right here is where I realized that I didn't have the tool that I needed. So, awkwardly stopping the video. And there's the tools that you need. Except for that one. There's the tool I was looking for. So you're going to want to stick that screwdriver right in there and work it back and forth. Like I said, this was the way to do it when you don't have the proper tools. And this tire came off a lot easier than most because it's an older tire and it's not very tight against the rim anymore. But you're just going to want to go all the way around. I'm doing it with my hand because it's just so loose, but most of the time you're going to want to do it with your with the screwdriver, the flathead screwdriver, and then you're going to want to obviously pop that that little thing out. I don't remember what it's called right now. Valve stem, that's what it is. Alright. Then there's the new inner tube. Mine was a 26-inch because it's a mountain bike, and so most adult bikes, whether it's a mountain bike or a street bike, are going to have close to a 26-inch. I've noticed that on a lot of these like street or city bicycles, it's going to be a bigger wheel than that one. Just because it's that's just the way they're designed. Now you're going to want to take your brand new inner tube and insert it into the tire like so. And this is a pretty easy step. Now, pretty obviously, you're going to take the tire and put it onto the rim. So far, this is pretty easy stuff that you have to do. The most difficult part is probably going to be getting the tire off of the rim. Fairly new tire and that hasn't had time to kind of break in like this one has. So, but yeah, you're going to want to line up that valve stem with the hole in the rim. That's pretty self-explanatory. Once you do that, of course, then you're going to put the tire back onto the rim, which can sometimes be difficult, especially with a newer rim. And that's why you can see here I put that cap back on just so that that stem will just stay right there and it won't move anywhere. But you're going to want to be careful not to rip this new inner tube. If you have to put the screwdrivers in there to help put the tire back on, go ahead and do that. I usually do have to do that. This one was just super easy to put on. So just be careful when you put you put the screwdrivers in there, don't puncture the new inner tube, because that's really easy to do. So you just got to be really careful not to do that. If you feel like the screwdriver is hitting something, go ahead and stop and reposition the screwdriver so that it doesn't pop the inner tube. But going on with the video, now you're going to put that tire back on and route the chain back where it was. It doesn't really matter if it's multiple gears like my bike. It doesn't really matter which gear you put it on, because you can just shift it and put it to whatever gear you want. And then make sure to put the wheel back on. Make sure it's nice and straight and not crooked or anything, because when you tighten those bolts, they have to tighten down flush. And you're going to want to make sure that both of them tighten down about the same amount. With my bike, it's pretty easy because the bolt, I guess you call it axle bolt, doesn't move when you're tightening it. On some bikes, I would say if it is moving, you probably have a problem with the axle. But yeah, just go ahead and tighten that down, and make sure that when you're tightening it, to tighten it to where it's tight enough that it's not going to fall off, but not so tight that you're going to break the bolt or strip it or anything like that, because you don't want to do that. And after this, all I did was put some stop leak in the inner tube. I know you can buy them with that already in there, but I didn't. And then I filled up the inner tube with air. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you see my next video.